Welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another lore video. Today's topic is an orc with an unnatural military mind, able to command his army with such precision that is unseen through the greenskin race. I'm of course talking about Azhag the Slaughterer, so without further ado, let's begin. Azhag the Slaughterer is just like any other orcish war boss. He is large, brutish, and, let's face it, stupid. But that does not mean that he is not to be feared. He commanded a sizable amount of greenskins and laid waste to the lands north in the old world, destroying villages, towns, cities, fortresses and strongholds, whichever were in his path. And perhaps his reign of terror would have been stopped much sooner were it not for stumbling across the crown of sorcery. You see, at one unspecified point in time, Azhag the Slaughterer and his tribe found themselves deep within the lands of Troll Country, which is famous for the monsters and packs of trolls that dwell there, and the large amounts of chaos warbands that invade from Norska. One particular day, Azhag and his tribe found themselves attacked by a large chaos warband of heavily armored chaos warriors. They proved to be too powerful, and Azhag and his tribe were forced to flee, to which they found themselves in the underground ruins of a city that was known as Todheim. This ancient city had been cursed long ago, and has been the home to many demonic monstrosities throughout the years. Seeing no other alternative but to fight, Azhag and his boys charged into battle, with Azhag eventually wandering into the den of a multi-headed chaos troll. He slew the beast, and amongst the trinkets that the troll had collected through the years, he found a crown. Seeing the crown as a fitting spoil of war, he unsuspectingly placed it on his head, and within an instant his mind was flooded with strange thoughts that, unbeknownst to Azhag, were obviously not his own. Strangely enough, Azhag then knew the way out of Todheim, able to lead his survivors out of the serpentine underpassages of the city. And from then Azhag had been changed, the crown never leaving his skull, with the crown granting him visions, battle tactics, and knowledge of dark sorcery, even communicating to Azhag himself. You see, the crown that lay upon Azhag's head once belonged to the infamous Lich Lord Nagash. A fraction of the Lich Lord's power still existed within the crown. It wished to be reunited with Nagash, so that Nagash could be made whole again, sometimes even attempting to possess Azhag, which Azhag would then find himself in a trance-like state, even often speaking to himself in an un-orky manner. But the mind of an orc is so notoriously simple-minded that Azhag would only find himself possessed for a small matter of time before wresting control back to himself. The crown often aided Azhag, whispering advice or even providing him with bolts of arcane power. And as you can imagine, orcish brutality, which has been aided by ancient knowledge and dark sorcery, made Azhag a force to be reckoned with, leading his forces into great victory time and time again. The greenskins under his command eventually began to notice that Azhag had been acting strange, even for an orc. But since Azhag was leading them to unnumbered victories, they decided not to question it. Word of Azhag's constant victories eventually reached many of the northern greenskin tribes, and many of them quickly made route to find him and join his ever-growing war. One particular group of interest was a tribe of night goblins from Red Eye Mountain, who had presented Azhag with a gift, an enormous and exceptionally fierce wyvern. Now, as most of you may or may not know, wyverns are very hard to tame, and usually have to be hand-reared from an egg. But Azhag, aided by the Crown of Sorcery, was able to subdue the beast with just a single glance, and he named the wyvern Skull Muncher. As Azhag's power grew, the crown began to get bored, as it wished for nothing more than to be reunited with its rightful master, planting ideas into Azhag's head to lead his mighty warg south. Azhag led his forces down into Kislev and then stormed into the northern provinces of the Empire, catching many off guard as they were so used to the average greenskin incursions. But these greenskins would not act like the average greenskins. They did not use their famed outnumber and charge tactics. Instead, they were disciplined, using tactics that would only be seen from the most disciplined of armies. Atop his massive wyvern Skullmuncher, and aided by foul magics and dark sorceries, Azhag and his forces were able to repel, and in some cases utterly destroy, most armies that came to meet him in battle. And at a famed battle at Butcher Hill, Azhag finally earned his name, the Slaughterer, after using hordes of goblins and snortlings to trap his enemies in a pincer movement. He then destroyed what was left of his enemies using a barrage of spells. This battle earned Azhag a place amongst the most hated of man's foes, and also the most feared. Azhag would eventually find his end at the Battle of Osterwald. You see, Azhag and the Crown had been bickering, as even though Azhag was eventually getting to where the Crown wanted him to go, he would get distracted by enemies every now and then. And during this battle, the Crown, being so angered, sought greater control over Azhag, and eventually put Azhag in a trance. All this was happening whilst Azhag had met a charge by the Knights Panther, and in this moment of weakness, Azhag was slain by the Grand Master of the Knights Panther himself. The rest of the Greenskins, realizing that Azhag had now been slain, and now were without his military genius, quickly routed. Azhag now lay dead, and the crown found itself in the vaults of the Temple of Sigmar. But we shall discuss the Crown of Sorcery another day. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon.